If you want to build an attractive physique, there's going to be several training mistakes that you need to completely avoid. A lot of people are going into the gym, perhaps even quite dedicated, but because they're doing things incorrectly, they're not seeing the type of results that they want. I've managed to avoid all of these mistakes pretty much and then build an attractive physique because of that. The type of body that girls genuinely can't get enough of. So in this video, if you're trying to do the same, I'm going to go over these exact training mistakes that most guys make without even realizing it, and exactly how you can avoid them as well. The first mistake is training like a powerlifter. Like I've clarified, our goal is to go to the gym and build a physique that actually looks sexy. When a powerlifter goes to the gym, their main priority is to get strong at a specific exercise that they're going to be tested on in competition. That's got nothing to do with us, nothing to do with building an attractive physique. The most attractive male physique is a V-taper, a nice shoulder to waist ratio. Powerlifting, squats, benches and deadlifts are basically anti-V-taper training. Deadlifts heavily utilize the obliques, which makes your waist look thicker, and also the upper traps, which makes your shoulders look less broad. Benches, flat barbell bench press, heavily utilizes the lower chest, which gives you a saggy pec type of look instead of a nice filled out upper chest, which is what we want. Squats, free weight barbell squats, to be honest, not the end of the world, but there's absolutely no reason to do them instead of a machine that trains your quads like the Smith machine squat or a leg extension. Those allow for higher mechanical tension, which means more/faster muscle growth. You shouldn't be doing any of those exercises if you want to build a good physique as fast as possible. And this links into the next mistake, which is neglecting the V-taper. If you want an attractive physique, you need to train specifically for that goal, which means training specifically to get a V-taper physique. So a slim waist by lowering your body fat percentage, then wide lats, wide broad shoulders, and a filled out upper chest. That's the type of masculine silhouette that girls go crazy over. So you need to be prioritizing those muscles. Forget the powerlifting exercises. You prioritize those muscles and train them with stable exercises with machines to grow them as fast as possible. The upper chest, the lats, the shoulders, and also the abs. Most guys either don't prioritize these muscles at all, or they train them with ridiculous suboptimal exercises, or they're at too high of a body fat percentage to see them in the first place. So you need to have all those things sorted out so your physique can actually look good. Once you've got all the muscles that create the V-taper, you've built them at least a decent amount. Like, they don't even have to be that large. We're not going for a big bodybuilder look, right? They can just be nicely proportioned. And when you're at a low body fat percentage as well, 8 to 12% body fat, that's when you start to look like amazing. Now, the third mistake, which ensures that guys don't build those muscles, is training without progressive overload, doing the same weights over and over, or rarely increasing your weights or increasing the amount of reps that you do. This is something that will pretty much make it certain that you never get anywhere close to your potential. If you stay in your comfort zone using weights that don't challenge you, you will build no muscle. Or if you're new to training, you will build a very insignificant amount of muscle, which will stop very quickly. It's actually kind of disgusting to me to think that there's some people that actually go to the gym and think that they can stay comfortable, put no effort into their sessions, and actually get some type of results. That is absolutely ridiculous. Your body is very clever. When you ask it to do something, it usually adapts to that so that you can perform it more efficiently next time. So in this context, if you do a set in the gym and it's hard, your muscles will adapt to that next session, or the session after that, or the session after that. Eventually, at some point, right, they'll be able to do what they couldn't do before. If you take a set to failure, the next session or the session after that, they'll be able to complete that rep that you weren't able to complete. So you need to be continuously, progressively overloading, continuously using heavy weights, using sets to failure, so your muscles can continue to adapt and continue to progress. As soon as you stop increasing the reps or increasing the weight of your sets, or stop training to failure, your muscles, your body stops adapting because there's no need for it. It doesn't build muscle for no reason. Building muscle is very metabolically expensive, which means it takes a lot of energy. So your body will do basically anything it can to not build that muscle before it's actually forced to. So you need to make sure that you're forcing it to. When you're taking your sets to failure, you should also be using a rep range which is suitable for our goal, which is to build muscle as fast as possible. A 4 to 8 rep range will allow you to do that. 4 reps, 5 reps, 6 reps, 7 reps, 8 reps, whatever it is. The way I program it is that you choose a weight that allows you to do about 5 reps. 4 or 5 reps is fine. And then you use that weight with sets until failure, until you can do 8 reps. As soon as you can do 8 reps with the weight, then you increase the weight to take you back down to 4 or 5 reps. If you train like this consistently, progressive overload, you're going to see how fast your results can actually get. Some people will try and cheat progressive overload by using bad form, ego lifting. Don't do that. Have perfect form. You're going to see the best results like that. And it's also going to make you feel good as well. Like, you know that the weight you're lifting, you can actually lift that. You're not doing some bullshit fucking gymnastics to lift the weight. You're actually strong because you can lift that weight. Now, mistake number 4 is training the abs incorrectly and also ignoring what actually gives the appearance of abs in the first place. So as for training, what will people do to train their abs? At the end of the session, they'll do 30 crunches, 30 sit-ups, 1 minute of mountain climbers, a minute of plank, a minute of side plank. If this is you, if this sounds something like what you do at the end of your sessions to train your abs, listen very carefully. Your abs are a muscle, your abdominals, right? Your abdominal muscle are a muscle just like your biceps are a muscle. To train your biceps, what do? Do you hold a dumbbell like this for a minute? Of course you don't. That would be ridiculous. So why would you do it with your abs? That core stabilization, that core endurance, that's what you use planks for, to have better endurance for your core. If you want to fucking, pound girls in missionary for longer, right? Like, that can be a usefulness for it. But to train your abs, to make the abdominal muscle larger, you train them just the same way you train any other muscle, till failure, heavy weights, doing exercises that actually take them through the full range of motion, like sit-ups or hanging leg raises. These are the type of things you need to be doing to grow your abs effectively. And that also means that you don't train them every day, because if you train the same muscle every day, you're going to see how quickly you can get injured. Now, as for what actually reveals the abs, training the abs alone is not going to give you the appearance of abs. It's going to build your abs. It's going to potentially make them more visible at a higher body fat percentage. But to actually have nice looking abs, you need to be lean, non-negotiable. 8% body fat is probably the leanest I'd go, to around 12% is the highest you should be, to be honest, if you want an attractive physique. Around 10% is the sweet spot. You need to be around 10% body fat so you can have abs and you can also have the rest of the V-taper muscles nice and revealed as well. There's just no amount of sit-ups that you can do which will make your abs look as good as if you were lean. Some people don't even have developed abs, right? They might not even train them and they still have, decent looking abs because they're lean. So you need to do that. You need to make it a priority to get lean. And then, if you need more developed abs, then you train them as well. Mistake number 5 is ignoring your posture, how you carry yourself. Now, this is like half physical and half mental. So mentally, if you're looking at the floor when you're walking, you're always looking at your phone, you've got your head forward all the time, you're not looking at people in the eyes because your head is always down. That's an issue that you need to fix immediately. You need to be walking around looking at the world. Do you know what I mean? You can't just be fucking staring at the floor all the time. It's not good for your brain, basically, and it's also not good for your posture. And physically, it's possible to get muscle imbalances that make your posture look worse as well. For example, a very common one is like the standard gym bro physique that do too much bench press, too much pressing, and not enough back exercises, not enough rear delts. That make your physique look slouched, rounded shoulders, big chest, but the back is weak. The rear delts are weak as well, which don't allow your shoulders to be down and back all the time. That's not an attractive look at all. You can have, big chest and arms and have a slouch type of look, which makes you look like a fucking gorilla basically, rather than an attractive man with broad shoulders that can stand up straight. For anybody that's very new to the gym and doesn't really know what they should prioritize, which muscles they should work first, I would recommend to you to prioritize your lats, the main back muscle, right? That's what I did when I started, and it worked out well for me. 6th mistake is being inconsistent. There's 2 parts to this. The first one, which is what most people struggle with, is just being inconsistent with your workouts and with your diet and your sleep. If you're not going to the gym consistently, like you're rarely skipping workouts, kind of forget about building an attractive physique, at least not quickly anyways. And with your diet and your sleep is important as well. Make sure you're eating the right foods every day, going to bed, waking up at the same time every day, so that your body can do everything it needs to give you an attractive physique the fastest way possible. If you keep skipping workouts, your muscles, they don't adapt. You work them once and then you wait another week and then you work them again. It doesn't work. A lot of people will have a gym membership for the whole year, right? And they'll use it 10 times. Of course, those people never see any progress. And the second part to inconsistency, which I used to struggle with myself, to be honest, is going to be being inconsistent with your actual program, with the workout that you're doing in the gym. Like if you see a fucking Instagram workout, you know, this creator is done this exercise, okay, I'm gonna put this in. And then 3 days later, you see another one, okay, let me try this. If you keep swapping and changing the exercises that you're doing, the program that you're doing, the splits that you're using, you will see a much slower progress than if you stick to one thing that's optimal for a long period of time and just got progressively stronger and stronger and built more muscle that way. If you're changing your exercises every single time you go into the gym, your muscles don't have a chance to actually adapt to the specific stimulus that that exercise is giving them. Because specific exercises for specific muscles train specific muscle fibers in your muscles. So if you keep changing the exercise, slightly different muscle fibers can be stimulated with each different exercise. For example, a lat pull down versus a row for the lats. It's slightly different leverages for slightly different parts. So if you stick to the same exercise every single workout, every single, few days, every single time, you're going to be training those exact same muscle fibers and you're going to see the fastest progress with them. So that's what you need to be doing. I would recommend for you to choose a workout, choose a plan, specific exercise, your priority list, right? And then train that for months, like 3 months at least, up to 6 months or longer. So you can see the best progress with that. And then when you decide, okay, maybe I need to prioritize a different muscle, or I need to do a different exercise because I'm bored of the one I'm doing, then change it out. But make sure you stick with it with a long time first so you can actually get good at it. The consistent, boring work beats any type of novel, flashy routines any day of the week, honestly. Stick with the same thing for a long time and you're going to see the results. You need to have like a long-term thinking mindset instead of like an instant gratification, right? You don't change the exercise just because you're bored today or whatever. You see someone else doing something else and you also want to go do that. You get an exercise and you stick with it for a long time. You get stronger at it. You're going to see the muscle growth a lot faster than if you chop and change every week. Mistake number 7 is not training with a full range of motion. This is a massive one that I see like at least half the people in the gym do. You need to be training with a full range of motion, the maximum range of motion that your muscles actually have leverage in, right? You don't need to be overextending for unnecessarily when your muscles are not working anymore. Like for example, with the lats, you don't have to stretch all the way until like you're fucking touching the roof. But you need to be training with the full range of motion that your muscles still have leverage in. So for the lats, that would be like just until you're short, like just basically almost fully extended, and then you can come back down. But a lot of people are doing like incline bench press, let's say, and they're coming halfway down, like the bar is so far away from the chest or even so far away from the face as well, that it's not providing the maximum leverage for the muscle to lift that weight, which means less muscle growth. People are doing squats. Squats is probably the biggest the biggest culprit of this. People do squats and they'll go like halfway down at best. Some people, like yesterday in the gym, I saw some guy, oh, you wouldn't even believe it, he's doing like 2 inches of range of motion, 2 inches of depth on the squat. You need to be going all the way down with your squats. You need to be doing an Asian squat. You know what an Asian squat is? When your hamstrings are touching your calves. Now, a lot of people don't even have that range of motion yet, which is fine because you can actually progressively overload your range of motion the same way that you can progressively overload your strength. If you can only go halfway at the moment, like parallel to the ground with your squats, that's fine. Just try and push yourself that little bit more, that little centimeter, that little inch more with the weight. And then once you do that over and over, eventually, it might take a while, it might take a year or whatever, but eventually you get to the point where you can touch your hamstrings to your calves when you're doing a squat. You can have that full range of motion to fully lengthen your quad, which is going to allow for the greatest muscle growth. And it's also going to give you better mobility. That's a massive thing. If you're training your muscles with a full range of motion, they're going to be strong throughout that full range of motion. If you stop training them halfway, then when you get to the other half, the portion that you've neglected, they can no longer do that. And that leads to more risk of injury and all sorts of negative side effects that you don't really want. Training with a full range of motion is very good for your joints as well, especially when you're using heavy loads, right? The tendons and connective tissues and ligaments, they also adapt to that heavy load, especially when you're taking them through the full range of motion, which allows them to become stronger, lesser risk of injury, more tendon explosiveness as well. It's all good. One of the biggest gym lies that I've ever heard, right? Wow, this one was insane. I think it's kind of dissipated now, but people used to say that you should only go to parallel with your squats. You should never go arse the grass, right? Because you're going to damage your knees if you actually use the full range of motion. Wow, that is absolutely ridiculous. And I hope that you don't believe that. That's insane. Now, for me personally, right? At the moment, I've not got an ACL or an MCL in my right knee. Like they're completely torn from football a few years ago, right? I'm actually going to get surgery for it soon. But anyway, the reason why I can still do jiu-jitsu and I can still lift heavy weights and I've not lost any strength at all or anything like that is because for years, for a couple of years that I've been lifting or whatever, I have been doing arse to grass, full range of motion squats with heavy loads. So my quads are very strong and my knee joints are very strong as well, apart from the ligaments that are damaged, right? Which is not from the gym, like I've said. But yeah, that's why I can still do activities that I should not be able to do, because my quads and my connective tissues and my tendons and joints are very strong. So that's all the mistakes. Now, I'll give you some honorable mentions, you could say, as well. Some things that I personally think are important for you to know as well. So only lifting weights, right? Just bodybuilding and not having any other activity. I would recommend to actually go and pick up another sport alongside lifting weights. Now, obviously, it's not necessary for building an attractive physique. And technically, you will build an attractive physique faster if you only focus on bodybuilding, at least at the start, because then you don't have any like other muscular adaptations and stuff going on for cardio. But especially when you've already built the attractive physique, like you're a year or 2 years into lifting, you should definitely go ahead and put some of your focus, at least some of your effort into something else other than just building muscle, like martial arts or football or tennis, like whatever your preferred sport is, you should go ahead and do that, because that's going to allow you to become functional. For example, if you're doing a sport that allows for a lot of movement rather than just staying with the traditional bodybuilding or, you know, the traditional exercises in the gym. And also it gives you a big boost to your confidence, It gives you a big boost to your confidence, because you'll see that your strength from the weightlifting does very directly translate into sports. That's another massive lie that people say. Bodybuilding doesn't help you fight or whatever. This is absolutely insane. Me personally, right, I am 170 pounds, under 170 pounds. I think I'm 168 now. I'm doing quite a drastic deficit right now. Anyway, I'm 168 pounds and I fight people in jiu-jitsu that are 230 pounds. I match their strength. Does that come from jiu-jitsu? No, because I've been doing jiu-jitsu for less amount of time than I've been doing weightlifting. That comes from the weightlifting, from the heavy loads that I've been training in the gym for years. I can match the strength of people that are 1.5 times my weight, right? Or more even. So that can only come from actually strength training, actually making your muscles stronger to do things that will use that strength. It's common sense, really. And doing a different sport really does combine well with having an attractive V-taper physique, which means that you're lean and you built the right muscles. Because obviously, if you've got a big bodybuilder physique, if you've taken steroids, if you're massive, you're bulked up, then your coordination, your cardio is going to be a lot worse. When you're slim, you're 10% body fat, you've got nice proportioned muscles, your cardio is going to be better than some people's just through being lean alone. Like I said, I actually would say to focus on building your attractive physique first if you're at a point where that's your main priority. But then after a couple of years, when you've got the attractive physique, right, then combine another sport, and sports really combine well with having a lean, slim V-taper physique, because you know you're not uncoordinated, you're not a big bodybuilder with loads of mass that can't move. You feel good and you look good. Yeah, you just perform well and it feels really nice. And also most sports are quite social, you know, paddle or tennis, jiu-jitsu, running, you go to run clubs. These things are social opportunities. They allow you to meet more women. You're all doing the same thing together, especially if you're good at it as well. That's always a bonus, which allows you to build instant rapport. These are all good. Weightlifting alone is kind of isolated. You know, you're just lifting weights by yourself with your earphones in. But obviously, you still have to do it. It's a necessity in order to build a great physique that allows you to gather attention in those more social environments. In Barcelona, for example, there's like this open workout place, like calisthenics park type of thing on the beach. There's both women and men working out there. Now, when I was there, there was a woman, I was working out there obviously, and there was a woman who was doing some pull-ups, I guess. She was doing some pull-ups and she did like 3 pull-ups to be honest. But I went over to her because she was looking nice, I can't lie, like a nice blonde. And anyways, she was looking good. And I went over to her when she finished her set of pull-ups and I was like, yeah, you're strong. Like I said, she did like 3 pull-ups, but it doesn't matter, right? I was just like, yeah, you're strong, you know. She's like, thank you. And she started complimenting my physique and shit. And we went out together later that night and Bible study back at her apartment later that night. So yeah, these social opportunities from having a good physique, being good at what you do, and then also meeting women through that, it can work out well. Another thing I should mention is that it would be very foolish for you to try and speed up your rate of muscle growth or speed up the rate at which you get an attractive physique by taking PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, or steroids. It would be very silly because those steroids are genuinely going to ruin your chances of having an attractive physique. I wouldn't say ruin, you can still have an attractive physique whilst being not natural, right? But it's not necessary. It's definitely not necessary, right? It's definitely not necessary. And also it's quite likely that when you take steroids and you can't even control where your muscle grows exactly, because steroids increase the androgen receptors in all your muscles, so your muscles will grow without you even doing anything. It would be very silly because you're most likely not going to have a nice proportioned well physique. You're going to be too big. Steroids will allow you to grow your muscles to the point where it starts to look disgusting to women. And also, like, I'm not a woman, obviously, but it doesn't look nice to me either when I see a big bodybuilder who's clearly unnatural. It doesn't look great. I'm sure most of you will agree. So I would not recommend to do that whatsoever. Not to mention all the other negative side effects like, acne, shortened lifespan, roid belly, the big growth hormone gut, stuff like that really doesn't look attractive at all. So it would be very advisable for me to stay away from it. And the last thing I'll mention is that you should be mentally strong as well. Now, one part of this is your confidence. So obviously confidence does come with time and experience as well. Once you look better, you get treated better, you have lots of positive past experiences to build that confidence on. So that's just about being consistent. Another part is that the gym, right? We're using the gym as a means to get the result that we want. We want an attractive physique, which we will apply to the rest of our life, to our dating life, to our social life, to be healthier, all these things. You shouldn't get stuck in this trap that some people do of just getting obsessed with the gym alone, like going there 2 hours, which is a mistake, obviously, being isolated, using it as an escape, right? Using the gym as an escape rather than an enhancement. We're optimizing for gym performance to build an attractive physique, but it's an enhancement to our life rather than going there just for the sake of it, if that makes sense. So implement the steps I've given you in this video. You're going to see what I'm talking about. Honestly, having a nice physique is really nice. Like it is really nice to have an attractive physique. I can step out of the house, I can go somewhere. I know there's going to be multiple women that are into me just because of the work that I've done in the past. Like obviously I'm going to continue to build that attractive physique in the future, but the past work is already done and I'm reaping the rewards now, and it just feels really nice. So I want you to have that result for yourself. If you want to build an attractive physique with more help from me, check the top link in the description. That's my community. Got some guys in there helping each other build an attractive physique, guidance from me as well. So check that out if you're interested.